to my channel. This is the launch of Donna's Book Addiction. I'm so excited. So I have a new name I think I can identify with much better. And I appreciate you all subscribing. I've had a lot of new subscribers. Thank you. And I want to open this video up with a book tag. I found a tag. It's called the Book Addiction Tag. And I am going to give you my answers to 14 questions. So let's get started. I love to read, and now I have to read on the go in between my other busy lifestyles. So I can comfortably go 2 days without picking up a book. But after that, I'm like, I need to read. I try to read something every day, even if it's just one chapter. I read on my Kindle. I read or I listen to an audiobook because I can't carry around all the books physically. And but I do have the books as well as audio. I like to carry a book on my Kindle and a book on my audio. So I would say at least 2 books. I try to read 2 books at the same time. I've done 3 at the same time, but sometimes my storyline gets confusing, so I stick to 2. I can keep up with 2. I'm usually reading one for my book club and one for my own pleasure or one for review. I keep every book that I buy. I do. I like to keep books. I love hardbacks, so those are my very personal collection, and I hang on to them. Now, if someone wants a recommendation from me, or I think a book is worthy of reading and keeping, I'll buy a copy for them and gift it. But no, I don't easily pass them on. And yes, I keep every book that I buy. That's why my collection is so large. I just crave bookstores and libraries. I could spend hours, maybe 2 hours in a bookstore or a library. There aren't very many near me, so I do a lot of my shopping online, or when I go into a major town and I make a quick run into a bookstore. But if I had my choice, I would spend hours in a bookstore or library. Well, I like to be comfortable. I like to know that I have nothing else to worry about when I pick my book up to read. And I could spend maybe a good 3 hours reading per day. And sometimes more, if depending on if I'm going somewhere, like with my husband to a doctor's appointment and I'm waiting on him, that gives me more reading time. But I spend approximately 2 to 3 hours per day reading, more if I can, if I could fit it in. I try to have that at least number 2 after taking all my medications for the day. Getting something to eat. My book reading, it's high priority for me, especially if I'm trying to complete a book for a book discussion. which usually is once a month near the end of the month. So, and I usually am running out of time, but I will fit it in. I will make time to read a book every day if I can. I have a lot of books. My collection right now, the count is at 2,538, and that's including ebooks as well. I keep track, otherwise I wouldn't know this number. I have to keep track on my apps, which is Goodreads and Library Thing. Those are so helpful to me of books that I own. So yeah, I'm just shy, coming up on 3,000. And I still have a ton of books that I purchased. So we'll get to those later. Oh my, I'm always talking about books. Somebody will mention something. I will reference a book in a heartbeat. Um, Books is just always in my forefront. You mention a word, and I will find a connection to a book or a situation to go with that conversation. And yeah, I'm such a booky person. I will talk about books day and night. Yeah, often. I bring up books often. I try to avoid the big ones, but I think the old drift, uh, and I'll put a picture of it up here. Simwali, I believe is the name. Excuse me if I get that wrong, but the old drift, what is the page count? 576 pages. I think that's the last biggest book I read, and I read that for a book club. Um, I'm looking forward to reading King soon. I don't know how many pages that is, but it's a thick one. And yeah, there's some more. There's more books that I need, big books I need to get to. But yeah, I don't read those quite as quickly as some of the others. There were a few that I really wanted to have. For instance, one of my favorite authors, J. California Cooper, and let's see, she had one of her books in paperback, but I was looking for it in hardback just to add to my collection. So the book is A Peace of Mind, and I have the paperback, and this is so popular and it's so good. So if you have not read it, make sure you pick this up. However, the hardback was very hard to find, and I did find it. This was a first edition, and I ordered it online, and I think I paid around $50 for it or so, because I just had to have this. I had to have it. Yep. And another book, and I read it on audio, but I didn't have a physical copy, and I'm still looking to get that physical copy, and that's The President's Kitchen Cabinet, the story of the African Americans who have fed our first families from the Washingtons to the Obamas, and it's by Adrian Miller. Oh, that book is so good. I learned a lot, not just about chefs and cooking, although the customs from other cultures, mostly by the African Americans who carried and grew seeds and products from the ground and cooked with them. They had their own gardens, but I learned some history facts. It is so good. So I'm still looking for that book, and I will get it eventually and add it to my collection. I will get it. All right. Yes. And recently, just recently, I'm only going to bring those up. And as you all saw my other video, Mother Country. This is by Jacinda Townsend. Now, the story itself, the storyline is very interesting. I'm not going to rehash a review of it, but I almost wanted to DNF this because I said, where is this going? What is going on? However, I finished it and I'm glad I did. I pushed myself to get through this to the end. It's a very interesting storyline, but the way she writes and puts it all together was a little, I don't know what the proper word is, muddled for me. But the story is there. It is there. This is something I would not discourage you from reading. Please read it. But I got a little lost in it sometimes, but I did not DNF it, and I'm glad I didn't. So I wanted to know what happened. What happens at the end? And the other book, only because of the subject matter, We Are All Good at Smiling. And this is Amber McBride. And I think because at the time I was reading all these heavy subjects, but I refuse to DNF this. And it's written very differently. It's like verses and poems. You'll probably, if you've seen it in my other video, again, I'm not gonna rehash all of my book review on it, but it's talking about mental health, mental depression, suicide, that sort of thing. And it's all in verses and with a little fantasy in there, and which is not one of my favorite subjects or genres, but I pushed through it, and you know, it gave me some insight. You know, there are people out here struggling with suicidal thoughts and such, but I finished it and I'm glad I did. The author has some other books, and one of them, I think it's called Me Moth by Amber McBride. I need to do a review on that. I received an art copy some time ago, but I'm going to get to that and do a book review. So, yeah, those are a few. My main one is to read more genres. I want to try to read more fiction, more, well, I read a lot of fiction, more mystery, more poetry, classics. I love biographies and memoirs. I think I have a good mix of those read, but maybe get some more in there. Some more cultural diverse, cultural heritage books, that type of thing. So my plans are to just expand my reading genres and get more of that into what I read on a daily basis. So I could have a worldly view of things, you know, because you tend to escape into other cultures and places when you read these books written by Africans, Nigerians, even Canadian, just, you know, a whole multitude of different ethnics. So, yes. I try to really push people into being a reader. First thing I ask is, are you a reader? Are you a book reader? And from there, I'll tell them, because a lot of times they'll ask me, well, what do you recommend? And I have given some people recommendations. A few have come back and said, oh, that book you recommended was so good. And anything else, so I'll keep it going. So I'm thinking maybe those were times I may have inspired someone to be more of a reader. I think I got my sisters reading more, especially fiction. My oldest sister, she reads a lot of self-help. That's not really one of my categories that I thrive to or gravitate to. And I told her, read this fiction, read this. And she has. And she's even recommended some to me. So I think she's picking up some of those fiction. And she keeps telling me I need to read Kindred by Octavia Butler, and I hear how good it is, and for her to tell me it must be good. So inspiration sometimes works both ways, but I like to think that I have inspired some people to be readers. Okay, so I struggle a little bit with this last question, but I think I got it. It says, describe what books mean to you in 5 words. What books mean to me in 5 words? I really had to think hard on this. And I must say, I came up with books allow me to be worldly. Allow me to be worldly. If I didn't pick up these books and read about other cultures, other ethnics, food, travel, relationships even, whether it's upbeat, downbeat, it gives me that worldly view. And not only that, it makes me want to travel to that place perhaps and see the culture for myself, smell those spices they talked about in the book, maybe do a recipe from that culture, so on and so on. So yes, they allow me to be worldly. I want to thank you all for subscribing and tuning in. And I found this lighting so much better right here. So who knows, I may end up doing most of my videos in this particular area than in my chair over here where it's a little darker. So if there's anything you could recommend to me, please let me know. Comment down below, subscribe so you'll know when a new video is coming out. And I will see you again in the next one. And I'll show you some books that I bought. All right, bye.